I'm JB Portillo. Welcome to In the Know, a POA-sponsored program to help keep you informed of all projects and events going on in our area. At the beginning of each month, we will post this program on the POA's Facebook site and make it available to the community television station. We hope you enjoy being in the know. Hi everybody, I'd like to welcome you to another session of In the Know, and my guest is Tom Judson. Hi.
How are you?
I am great.
Fantastic.
I tell you what, we had an interesting board meeting last time, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, you want to talk about it a little bit? What happened?
So we got the budget approved, and so if you haven't seen anything about the budget, you can go on to the POA's website, into the financial section. You can see the handout that was provided to all people that attended the meeting, the PowerPoint presentation, and even an entire video of the hour and 45 minutes that we held when we were going over the whole thing. So you can get a huge amount of information on our website, so you can stay informed.
Exactly, and like you said, you had a big detailed meeting at Reardon Hall, and then in the board meeting you went over a revised or a condensed version.
Version, but if you really want the detail, go back to the one from Reardon Hall. That's what's available on the website.
Yes.
So now included in that approval also was the approval for several fee changes. So the one at the board meeting, and there was a lot of people that voiced their concern over this, was the increase in the private carts, which is going to go up by $45 for the primary and $30 for the secondary. That was one change, and then another change was for covered boat slips. It'll go up to $1,500 now. There's a long waiting list.
Annually, of course.
Annually, yes, annually. And also for on your water meter, it's going to go up probably in February. Once all the new water meters have been installed, it'll go up by 81 cents, which is a direct pass-through. That's our cost for the self-service to operate the system. And we informed the community in November of 2017 that this increase was coming your way.
Yes.
So it's going to hit in about January, we think.
So how close are we on getting all the meters installed? Are we pretty much?
We're knocking on the door of 10,000 installed out of 13,600.
Oh, well, that's great.
So we're really very close.
Yes, absolutely.
I've been told, though, that the weather is slowing them down a little bit. So.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk, because everybody else is, about the stump dump. Sure.
So a couple things that have been going on, and we're trying to stay on top of it. The first thing is we hired FTN Engineering, and they specialize in this field. They are very knowledgeable, and what they're going to do is they're going to investigate 4 of the older sites. So we have one site that they're asking us to investigate that was closed 23 years ago, but ADEQ has directed us to evaluate the old site and have FTN provide us with remediation recommendations.
Now, this is the one that if you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't be able to find it today? Is that the one?
Yeah, the one that closed 23 years ago has, big trees on it.
You're right.
But you also have the west side stumped up that recently closed. So you have, everything in between. Okay. So that's the first contract, and those recommendations are due back by March 31st of next year. The second thing is we've hired FTN Engineering to look at sites where we could create a scaled down operation, like a mulching operation. So they're going to look at different sites and then determine what the cost is to develop those sites. So it'll make it much easier to go through the permit process. They're experts in this field. We're not experts in the field, and so they're going to help guide us through. So that's two different contracts.
Right.
And then I was told by Mayor Christie that the EPA was out looking at the Trafalgar site and taking air samples, and supposedly those results are going to be in by the end of this month.
Okay.
And then the POA, we've included $100,000 in our budget for the coming year, which was approved, and that's going to be used for the potential development of a new location and the permitting that's involved in that, and also remediation of the older sites.
Okay, so this would be, this new operation, I believe, if I understand it correctly, is more like a mulching station.
Yeah, much smaller operation. We've been told that there's no way we can get another stump dump. The approval process is way too lengthy, and it's very costly, and so that is beyond our capability.
Okay, okay. Well, let's go on to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. So the great news is Lake Point is completely sold out.
Yes.
That's fantastic. We love hearing that. If you're not able to get in at Lake Point, then you could also always consider there's a family brunch with Santa that's coming up on December 15th. So you could make a reservation for that.
And that's at
Lake Point. I'm
okay.
talking about Lake Point.
Okay.
And then at BV's, we're fairly booked up, but we're not closed yet.
Okay.
But we recommend you call in advance, because I'd hate for someone to come down with their whole family and then that get turned away. So just make sure you call in advance. There is still openings depending upon the size of the group.
So you make reservations here at BV?
Just for Thanksgiving.
Just for Thanksgiving.
We're allowing reservations for larger groups.
Okay. Okay. Well, that takes care of Thanksgiving. What about Friday, Black Friday?
Well, Black Friday, we're going to have all the games on that are going to be televised, and at all locations. So at Lake Point, BV's Bar and Grill, and at Highlands, we're going to have all-day happy hour.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A lot of happy people.
Absolutely. We hope so.
Except the ones whose football teams don't win. But that's okay. That's all right. Well, that is amazing. That's good stuff. Do we get to talk about a rumor today?
Yeah, so the rumor I keep on hearing, and it kind of splits in two. The first rumor is that Ife Jones designed Reardon Hall, and that's not factual. That is not the case at all. He designed the country club.
Yes.
He designed Cooper Chapel, but he was not involved with Reardon Hall. I've been trying to figure out who it is, and I think it was a architectural firm out of Little Rock, but I'm not positive on that. And then the second rumor I've heard is that Frank Lloyd Wright designed Reardon Hall. That's
wow. He was a very powerful man, but I'm not sure that he could come from the grave and do things like that.
Yeah, because he passed about 10 years prior to the construction of the building. So those two rumors, while interesting, are not factual in any way, shape, or form.
Do you think maybe there's, because of some of the similarities, you know, the stone and, you know, do you think they look anything alike?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't
okay.
know.
Well, you know what? I think it's probably time for a break, but like always, it's fun talking to you.
Well, you have a happy Thanksgiving.
And you. And I'm coming over on Friday to one of the two places.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Hey, welcome back. I'd like to introduce you to our next guest, the newly re-elected Mayor Christie.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. Well, tell us about the election and what happens next.
Well, the election was very interesting. First, I want to thank everybody who came out to vote and everyone who ran. Interestingly enough, we have about 23,000 registered voters here, out of a population of roughly 30,000. We had over 12,000 vote for the mayor. Go south to Bentonville, whose population is well over 50,000. And they only had 600 people more vote in their mayor race. So it shows once again that Bella Vistans are very involved in their community. and they come out to vote. So thank you again, it's very important. We have a runoff in 2 of the wards. That runoff will occur on the 4th of December, and early voting starts on the 27th. The thing to remember with early voting is you have to go to the county courthouse in Bentonville to vote. There is no early voting station here.
That's really good to know. Let's say that one more time to make sure people get that.
Sure. If you want to vote early in the runoff, it begins on the 27th of November, but you must go to the county floor 2, which is right behind the courthouse off the square in Bentonville.
Yes. And please vote. This is very important.
It is. And this is always hard for the candidates because there's no national issues, there are no state issues, they're all gone. This is simply the city. And typically the turnout for a runoff is much less than the others. But it's still very important that you exercise your right to vote.
Okay, very important. Let's vote.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about partnering with the POA.
You know, the partnering with the POA at one time was probably one of the best kept secrets. It's been going on for years. It goes on long before I came on the scene and Frank Anderson was the mayor. Frank did an exceptional job. He had also been chairman of the POA board at one time. So he knew very well how both were going to operate together. One of the crowning examples I can think of towards the end of his 2 terms was the cooperation with the POA in developing the wonderful signs that we have along 71 at the north and south entrance. Those were done jointly. Even today, the costs are split 50-50 for the electrical, etc. And if you remember, the old signs were very tired and falling apart.
Yes.
And I think the new design that they came up with was fabulous. And then as I became mayor, it's very important that everybody understands the threesome that we have here. We have the original developer, who's Cooper, and we have the POA,
yes,
and we have the city. And the 3 of us talk all the time. And we all acknowledge that we need each other in order to move forward. And so one of the things that I did when I first came on board in 2015 was I redesigned the logo, and I also brought in a tagline, Bella Vista, a place to call home. And before I did that, I was speaking to Charlie Teal. This was before Tom arrived, and he liked the idea. And so we moved forward with it. When Tom came on board, he liked it so that if you look at the POA ads today, it says, this is Bella Vista, this is home.
Right.
So he's bought into, we need to be able to attract people to come here, not only to use all the wonderful amenities, those that have been here for a long time, as well as the new trail network, but to get them to come, stay, enjoy it, spend their money, and then the ultimate challenge is to get them to move here.
Exactly.
And we have been very, very successful. Since the end of 2013 to the end of last month, the aggregate growth in new house residential permits is 1,500%.
Wow.
Now, a lot of people have said, but you're growing too fast. Well, no, we're not, because the original plan that the Cooper family had was for all these lots to be filled with homes.
Of course.
And what we do have to do, and Tom and I talk about this all the time, is we have to manage the growth. You cannot let the growth manage you, or we're going to be in trouble.
Exactly.
And so that's why you see a lot of the capital projects that are being done by both parties. We'll talk about some of them in a few minutes for the 2019 budget that we've now completed and council will approve hopefully next Monday.
Yes.
We had a work session yesterday. Everybody was happy with what they saw, so we're going to move forward. But the cooperation extends to the wayfinding signs that we've been doing together. One little small piece is that we share the costs of all the water testing. Because the POA has the lakes, but then you've got all the tributaries and everything else that are feeding into it. And so we have a fellow that's out in the bush and he actually does the testing. And we watch the quality of that water like a hawk. So it goes from very tiny things all the way to major projects, and it's going on all the time. I would have to say that the relationship with the POA has never been stronger between us and their board. And of course, the membership is the same as the citizens.
Yes.
And that's what's so great about this.
Yes, yes.
And so sometimes when people think that, well, the POA doesn't work with the city, but you're really talking about yourself.
Exactly.
And
yes.
yeah, we do all work together, and there's more good things to come, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I know that it's published out on the POA website is the great little checklist of who to go to for city issues, where to go, how to go, who to contact, instead of getting mad at the city or the POA.
True.
Hey, you can do that, but go to the right place.
And, you know, the rule of thumb is we have the infrastructure minus the water. The POA is like a Parks and Rec, but they have the water. And if you keep that as sort of the 50,000-foot level, then you'll be able to parse through and manage.
Yes.
And know where to go. And once you get to the right spot, if you have to go somewhere else, because we still have the Architectural Control Committee, which is owned by Cooper, not owned by the POA, and it's not owned by the city. But you still have to go there to get things done. For example, Connie and I had our house painted earlier this year. Well, you have to go and pay your $75 to the ACC and take paint chips. They approve it, you get it painted, they go back and inspect it, and away you go.
That's if
So
you change colors?
No, even if you put the same colors, because we didn't change the colors. You still have to go in with your paint chips and pay your $75.
Okay.
So take the time, do your homework. If you're not sure who to go to, one of the first places to go to is either membership services with the POA or the community development team that I have up in the same strip mall as Duffers, right beside the jewelry store.
And the courthouse.
And the courthouse. And they will tell you exactly this is what you have to do.
Yes.
But at a very high level, that's the way that you can sort of delineate between both parties.
That's a really good rule of thumb. Well, what does 2019 look like?
2019 is shaping up to be a very exciting year. We have changed the way that we are looking at our reserves. We now have a financial policy in place that the council has adopted, where it talks about debt management, it talks about building the budget, it talks about reporting, and it talks about the reserves. We had reserves of 53% of our unrestricted income, and there was no other city that we could find in this immediate area that had anything that big.
Yeah.
Some of them are incredibly small.
Right.
But, so the big question was, well, how much do you keep? And so we actually got into a conversation with Tempe, Arizona, who had struggled with this a number of years back, and we, as a result of their discussions, put together this financial policy, brought it to council, and we said, okay, 35, 25, 20, it seems to be around the 20 to 25 mark, and they said, let's go with 25. So we cannot spend below 25%. Well, that gives us a little more money this year to do other things that we normally could not do. And probably the biggest capital improvement that we're going to do this year is put more money into streets. And I can hear everybody going, yay! Yay! But, because I know the streets are the #1 concern. We have 550 miles of streets.
Yes.
More than the city of Little Rock.
Yes.
And the streets were not built in the best ways. There's not a really good base on a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it was all chip and seal, which I stopped as soon as I came into office. So we only do asphalt and slurry at the moment. Always looking for an alternative, but we haven't found one yet. And so when I came in office, they were spending $800,000 on resurfacing a year. I bumped it up to $1.2 million. And then we had a company come in and they actually evaluated every single road and told us where, you know, here are the ones you got to concentrate on. We had 186 miles that was in trouble. As of the end of this year, we've addressed 100 of those miles, but we need, as part of that managing the growth, we need to get ahead of the curve.
Yes.
So if we put another $1 million into the streets, which have already been identified, that'll bring us that much closer to getting in control of it so that it's not managing us. And you're probably familiar with Fire Station number 3 on Glasgow. It's showing its age. It was built in the early 80s by Cooper.
Is that up by Branchwood?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And so we're going to buy 3 acres across the street from Cooper, and we'll put up a new building probably within the next 4 years or so. And then we'll take down the old one and we'll put a third sand and salt building there. Another thing that we're really looking at is a new public safety building. If you have ever been through the police station as it is now, it was never designed to be a police station. It was an old POA office building at one time. It's showing its age, and it's frankly overcrowded. And so what we have to do now as part of our future is to look out for the next 30 years. What do we need? And so we've hired a company called Judson, which is local. They have built many police stations, and they are about to begin a 3-month needs assessment. What do we really need? How much is it going to cost? How big should it be? To plan out until, you know, the next 30, 35 years. And it'll be very interesting. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of stuff on Facebook. Well, it's going to cost $10 million, $15 million. What they have failed to put in all these messages is, I have always said, this is simply a placeholder that was a very good guess by an architectural firm in Kansas City that was attending a how do you build a police station course that I sent Chief Graves on. So it was just something that we put in there saying we can't forget, we've got to address that. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be $15 million. It's going to be considerably less.
Yeah.
But, so that's also very, very much on the front burner for us to look on and plan. When are we going to build it? I would say probably within the next 3 years.
I tell you what, I can vouch for the fact that that police station needs some love. Because I just finished that Citizens Police Academy, and that, by the way, folks, everybody in this city needs to go through that. They really do. You know what? I have so enjoyed talking with you today. I never get tired of finding out what's happening.
Oh, thank you very much.
And as you know, I attend all the meetings. And, you know, I'd like to put a plug in here for the fact that, folks, it's your responsibility to come to the city council meetings and to the POA meetings. Everybody's voice is important, as long as it's nice and, you know.
As long as we're respectful of one another.
That's exactly right.
But all our meetings are open.
That's right.
And
they're published.
That's right.
You know you even know what you're going to be talking about ahead of time.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Enjoyed
I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Well, we will.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next month.